Hi, we're Chris and Tyler.
Well, I'm Tyler, he's Chris. But my suggestion for this whole sleep out thing is to bundle up and bring snacks. Chris?
That's a great idea, Tyler. I think you should bring extra blankets and a comfy pillow.
Foot warmers aren't a bad idea either because they can also function as butt warmers.
So are hand warmers because they can also function as warmers.
Mittens are better than gloves. You like both though.
Socks are also good because feet are more important than fingers.
And socks might be hand mittens.
They just might be.
Hey Lynn, do you remember when we did the sleep out together?
Yeah, I do. It was cold.
It was really cold, but what did we do so it wasn't so cold?
Oh, I put heaters in my boots.
Yeah, me too.
So when I woke up in the morning, I put my feet in. It was like hot and warm,
yeah,
right?
hand warmers, feet warmers, and then layers. Like
Layers.
lots of layers, and then you can take them off if you get hot, and then if you get cold, you can put the layers back on.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
eat lots of food before you go to bed, so you're full.
Yeah, but don't drink a lot because then you have to pee in the middle of the night, and you don't want to do that.
Not
so
fun.
don't drink a lot before you go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleep in your winter coat.
I'm Patrick,
And I'm Jim.
and we're excited for you to be a part of the Sleep Out.
So we're going to give you some tips on how to have the best sleep out ever. Go ahead, Pat.
I would recommend going to Taco Bell before or eating mashed potatoes, saving up, getting gassy in your tummy a little bit, and then saving up those farts. And then when it gets cold, you just let it go. And that'll instantly, it's like a heater inside your sleeping bag. Jim?
And I recommend finding 2 great big trees in your yard, hanging in a hammock, and then just jumping in. But you need a sleeping bag. And more importantly, you need a Gatorade bottle, empty. Because in the middle of the night, after you're done being gassy, and you gotta go to the bathroom, number 1 that is, having a Gatorade bottle in your sleeping bag come in really handy.
And because most of the time we've all been there and trying to force out that tube that just doesn't want to quite go. And then if you have to go pee also, a little bit of that squirts out. And that's not the way to get warm because it's warm for like this long and then it freezes and that becomes a problem. And then Krista gets in trouble for causing hypothermia in areas that you don't want it. So in conclusion,
Bring a toothbrush and say a prayer before you go to bed.
I'm Patrick.
And I'm Jim.
And we want to see you at the Sleep Out.
Molly,
You know what?
we're starting.
Oh, oops, just ordering some.
Hey, you guys. Molly was ordering some stuff for the sleep out. We're getting so excited for that this weekend, and we'll tell you a little bit more about it in a little bit. But we just want to welcome you to our November monthly message. We're so glad you're here with us. And just like I nudged Molly to set her phone down and just set it aside for a little bit, we're going to invite you to do the same right now. So you can be present with us, and you can also be present maybe with those you're viewing this with tonight. And
Yeah,
so
don't be a Molly.
yes, set your phone aside. Go ahead and grab your candle and your matches, and we're gonna get our candle lit. So whatever candle you have at home, maybe you want to grab the one out of your box, or another candle is perfect. And we're just gonna light it to just remind ourselves that God is here with us in this time, in this moment. So we're so glad you're here. Let's get this started.
Change, you and I will change, but the blood is still the same. Showering the saints, everything will break, everything will break. If it's fire, if it's rain, everything is great. We can run together if we're lost from the start. Wait on you, girl, run at my pace. And if we run together, we'll be lost from the start. Walking on water. If it's fire, if it's rain, everything is great. We can run together if we're lost from the start. Wait on each other, run at our pace. And if we're not together, we'll be lost in the dark. Walking on water, all in vain. And I still need you, Father, trusting in this great unknown. I still need you, Mother, comfort me until we're home. And I still need you, sister, and tell the truth and dare to dream. I still need you, brother, strengthen me and help me see. We all need each other. We all need each other now. We all need each other. We all need each other now. We all need each other. We all need each other now. And we all need each other. And we all need each other now. We all need each other. We all need each other now. We all need each other. We all need each other now.
I just love what depth of feeling that songs bring to our time together, and that's one of my favorites. That's awesome. I'm so grateful for that. Thank you for doing that for us. So in these times when everything seems like we're kind of like teetering on the edge of uncertainty, things are tough. I mean, I don't know if tough really even fits it at this point because it almost seems too easy. I mean, tough just doesn't feel like what it is.
Oh gosh, that's so true. I mean, I think it's such a hard thing to find the words for, right? I just think these times are hard and exhausting. I find myself constantly thinking about all the things that are happening in our world. So I think maybe the actual word doesn't matter, but we just know it's that feeling.
Right. Maybe we'll have a new COVID term for things. Maybe like in the future, we'll be like, that is so COVID.
So true. So true. And I mean, some of those feelings might be some of the things that we've actually talked about this fall. We've talked about worry. We've talked about fear, anxiety. Like these are all very real realities for almost everyone right now. And some things I have heard shared are feelings maybe of anxiousness or worry about maybe like the safety of your loved ones during this time, or not being able to see very many of your friends. What about not being able to go to school? Like all of a sudden, everyone wants to be in school when that was not the case like a year ago.
Or I never heard anybody want to be in school before.
And nothing is like, quote, normal. The news keeps saying things are going to get worse. All not very helpful when it comes to worry and anxiety.
No, I agree. And I hope you all found last month's resources about anxiety helpful. I've heard from a few of you and some of your leaders that it was very helpful for them. So I hope you are one of them. Because we can't always change our situation. We have to get through them and lean on our friends and our families, and as we said last month, the WCC community. So as things just continue to go on, I want to talk about changing perspectives. So I have, one thing I often think of when I think about perspectives is probably, maybe 7 years ago or so. We were, my family, mainly my husband was usually always working, but me and the kids were on this mission to visit and hike every state park before my daughter graduated high school. I mean,
That's
we had
awesome.
like these walking sticks with all the little emblems on them. Like we were determined to get it done. And one week, I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but the Moose Lake State Park, we went there. And on the side that the visitor center's on, there's like all these other trails and beaches and stuff. And we had spent most of our day there. Well, we decided we wanted to try the one last trail across the street because it wasn't very long. So we're like, okay, one last trail, here we go. And we go and we get into it a little bit, and all of a sudden there's this massive hill, like a steep incline. Like think about like the Duluth streets, like you're like, if they're wet, you're really scared. And it was like steep. And so my son Parker, who's now a junior in high school, at that time was he still is tiny, but tiny enough that I had actually carried him on my back. Well, he just hopped on and carried him on my back most of the time because he was tired. Well, so we started up this hill and he's on my back, and not very far up the hill, I finally just said, oh my gosh, Parker, I'm so sorry, but I have to set you down because it was so steep. We literally were like having to lean up the hill. And so I set him down, and we're still like just determined to get up this last hill, and at the same time thinking, what were we thinking? We have to remember that this is not a fun trail. So I set him down, and then he eventually kind of gets behind me, and suddenly he says, oh, Mom, I see why you had to put me down. And
What did he say?
He said, you have sad elbows. What? I don't know. And I was the same thing. I was like, what? But we were determined to get up this hill. I mean, it was hard work, and I was in the best shape of my life, but it was hard. I'm like, whatever. I just kept going. Well, then my daughter eventually kind of got behind me too, and she also says, "Oh, Mom, I see why Parker said that." And I was like, well, why is that? I mean, I'm still like determined to get to the top of this hill because I can see a bench, and I'm just like, we're going. And she's like, because when your arms hang down, the skin on the back of your elbow looks like a frown.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, now I get it. Sad elbows. So I always think about all it took was it made no sense to me, and things weren't clear, and it just didn't make sense. So it's about zooming out on your life, right? And getting enough perspective to see that you've got some good things going on too, right? So you may be going through some really, really hard times right now. Times that are hard and exhausting.
Exactly.
But there's always some good that God is working in your life for which you can be thankful for.
That's so true. Like, I think about how often do we complain?
Yeah.
No, really. I want you to think about it.
We should put a jar in our office.
Oh my gosh,
We'd
seriously.
be rich. We usually go with pennies.
And I'm sure there's no complaining happening with doing school at home right now. None. Okay, but I really want you to think about it. How often do you complain about something? Maybe it's something big, like how much our life has changed since COVID began. Or maybe it's something small, like a test coming up or something, or a project due. You know, sadly, we probably can't actually even think of times that we've complained because we tend to complain so much that we don't even know we're doing it.
Like, sort of kind of like perpetual Debbie Downers, right? Yeah. I mean, seriously, though, like, how often do we say the things that we're thankful for, right?
Yeah.
Probably not nearly as much as we complain. Because for some reason, it's just easier to complain than be thankful, which, I mean, it's true, but it's weird. So, I mean, like, do you feel happier when you're complaining or when you're being thankful?
Oh, totally when I'm being thankful. Personally, I'm much happier when I'm living a thankful life and being grateful for the things in my life. And it's just easier to be happy when you're thankful. Some of you know that I really like to tell people how grateful I am for them. Some may say that I'm the queen of thank you notes, but did you know that research has also proven that when you write a thank you note, it actually boosts your happiness as well as the person receiving it? And how can you not be thankful when you think of all that God has done for you or done for you through people?
Yeah.
So it's just like in Colossians chapter 2, verses 6 and 7, it says, "So then, just as you received Jesus Christ as Lord, continue to live your lives in him, rooted and built in him, strengthened in the faith as you were taught, and overflowing with thankfulness."
Yeah, so sometimes during the school year, you guys will come in here and you're like overflowing with stress, right? You're just stressed about
So
homework, assignments, projects, and adults. We do it too, honestly. And studying, right? It's all you can think about, right? And you can't help but overflow with it. And sometimes you're overflowing with happiness. You've had such a great day hanging out with your friends, or you guys have plans for tomorrow, and you're having so much fun that you're just overflowing with happiness. So how do we overflow with thankfulness? Well, I think we first have to try. Don't just wait for something to come along that makes you feel thankful, but instead actively look at all of the things in your life that you're thankful for.
That's such a good point, Molly. Another way to maybe overflow with gratitude is to not only be thankful for the big things, but what if we're also thankful for the little things too, right? So you could be thankful for the big things, like if you get an A in one of your toughest classes that you worked really hard for, or getting exactly what you wanted for your birthday. All good things to be thankful for. But like, what if we're also thankful for the small things too? Like when maybe someone makes you breakfast, or when the bus is on time and you don't have to stand out in the cold anymore.
Right.
So you don't only complain about the big things, do you? Of course you don't. We complain about pretty much everything, whether it's big or small. If you're wearing shoes that are uncomfortable, what do? Well, we probably complain about them.
Yeah.
I know I do.
Definitely.
So on the flip side, let me ask you this. When was the last time that you were thankful because your shoes were comfortable?
Good point. Very good point.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
Totally, yep.
If it's big enough to complain about, then it's certainly big enough to be thankful about.
Right, and how you just explained it makes me think about that flip side, that different perspective, right?
100%.
Like,
yes.
okay, we're complaining that this sucks. Sorry, I shouldn't say that word. Sorry. But, think about what you're complaining about. What's the opposite of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how you did that. That's awesome. So this morning, when the sun was coming up, instead of complaining that it was getting in my eyes, I could have just been thankful that it's the sunrise brought good news that I'm not going to freeze to death today. It's going to be a sunny day.
There you go.
Or when you got to go to a bathroom with a working shower, a toilet and a sink, right? And you get to brush your teeth with running water without being afraid that, whether or not the water was going to give you some disease and make you sick. And, most of the world can't say the same. So that's something worth being thankful for.
Yeah, if you want to overflow with thankfulness, I think it really is start by telling God, thank you, every single time you encounter something that He's blessed you with. You won't stop saying thank you all day if you think of those little things throughout the day.
Yes, and that is why. So in your boxes this month, you should have received a journal. And what we would like you to do with these journals is simple. To help get in a rhythm of creating a new habit of gratitude or thankfulness, we would like you each day to choose 3 good things from your day. Day, evening, whenever you choose to do it, and write them in your journal. Because when we do 3 good things, we are affirming that what is going well in our lives and recalling these events and not taking them for granted. We'll grow our gratitude and by diverting our minds from the negative, and we can start thinking about that flip side of things.
That's so true, Molly. I like to do a gratitude practice where I write down those things. And it's amazing how it changes how your brain thinks during the day. Because you're constantly thinking about what are those little things that you really can be thankful for.
It's a changed perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm so grateful for all of you and the joy you bring to my life. So let's all pray together. Good and gracious God, give me eyes to see the unloved so that we see and serve the one who feels invisible and love the person who feels unseen and unloved. Take off my blindfolds and fill me with the courage to love. Loving God, help me see you in the face and heart of every person you place in front of me today. Humble me so that my pride will not keep me from recognizing you and others. Holy Spirit, guide me. Speak to me in every moment. Love me in every moment. Draw me closer to you. Let me know your love so that I might love others as you love me. Remind us that you love us exactly for who we are and not for who we think we should be. Amen.
Amen. You know, Molly, what I'm grateful for and what I'm thankful for also is a warm bed on a cold night.
Oh, yes, yes.
So we need to talk a little bit about sleep out coming up this weekend.
Mhm.
Speaking of having a warm bed, we're gonna sleep out on Saturday in your own yard around our community, really to spread this light of sleeping out in the western suburbs. And we're gonna sleep out to help raise awareness for homelessness in our community.
It's awesome. And there's other churches doing it too. So there's going to be a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I love that it's a community event, right? So it's really something that we're doing all in together to help those that just need a little bit of extra love and support right now. So we're going to send you more information for that. But if you haven't signed up for it yet, this year, middle schoolers and high schoolers are sleeping out.
Yes, it's going to be awesome.
We are so excited for you to join us this weekend and for us to remind ourselves that we're grateful for a warm bed and a warm house.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, see you next time.